Hey, folks. Before we get started on this week's episode, I just have a little update for you. We recorded the episode that you were about to listen to on the evening of Sunday, June 21st. The following morning, the news came out that Clive Davis had passed away, and it's going to be another 2 weeks before we record again. So I wanted to go ahead and get a little message out about that as soon as I could. So before we start tonight's episode, I just want to say, Clive Davis is a legendary figure in the music industry. He's a Grammy winner. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He had been the president of Columbia Records back in the late 60s and early 70s. He was the president of Arista Records for about 26 years and then became the CEO of the RCA Music Group, which included Arista and RCA Records and J Records. And he is responsible for so many artists and their legendary careers. Everything from Tony Orlando, Barry Manilow, through things like Pink Floyd, Sly and Family Stone, Janis Joplin, Springsteen, Santana, Chicago, Earth, Wind and Fire, Aerosmith, Billy Joel, the Bay City Rollers, Blood, Sweat and Tears, Luther Vandross, Loggins and Messina. I mean, he has had an impact on every aspect of popular music. And he is credited with having brought Whitney Houston to prominence. So this is a man who has dominated the radio landscape for decades. And we just want to quickly say how sorry we are to learn of his passing. And we send our condolences to his family and friends and fans. And, we might talk a little bit more about this on our next show, but I wanted to get this out now since it's so timely. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. And with that said, let's get on with this week's show. Thanks.
You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hey, all you music lovers out there, welcome to Modern Musicology. My name is Alan, and on board we have got Stephanie Seymour.
Hello, people.
Rob Levy.
Hey, what's up?
And Anthony Williams.
Hi.
And the song that you are listening to right now is a song by the Aquanettas. This is from 1993 from their second album, Roadhouse. And the song is called Whoa. And we're playing this for a very specific reason. That opening drum pattern that you heard there is our very own Stephanie Seymour.
Yes, it is.
So, Stephanie, tell our listeners what it is we're doing this week and why we picked that song to open with.
Okay, we are doing all about those drums, which is just going to be expanding on our totally fun topic of all about that bass, which we did a couple months ago. Songs only opening with bass only. Now we're just doing songs that are opening, that start just with drums. No accompanying music, just drums.
Right on. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's going to be so much fun.
We have a couple drummers here. That's me and you.
That's right. We each have 5 songs picked that we're going to highlight. So, Stephanie, why don't you just start us off with our first one?
I will. I will. Okay. So the first song I picked was actually very personal too, because I used to play this in high school in my band.
Nice.
And I think it's just got a total, like, you know it from the second you hear it, and you know that drum beat anywhere kind of thing. So it's, if you're especially if you're a child of the early 80s. So I want you to take it away and we can talk about it. Now that's you too.
It's a shame that we're doing this, that this is going to go out audio only, because then nobody can see all our air drumming.
And all the reactions. I know. That's what I thought about the bass show too, because we were all like, what? That's great.
Right.
Yeah, Sunday Bloody Sunday, U2. I think it's just got an iconic opening drum riff.
Right.
That, it's just so catchy. You could just picture the video. You can picture that whole scene in your head. And yes, I used to play that in high school, and it was so fun to play that drum part. I loved it.
Yeah, it is very cool.
Free Larry Mullen. That's what I got to say, because he doesn't drum like that anymore. I know he can't. But as the band progressed, I really missed that raw sort of energetic drumming of those first 2 or 3 records. This is more of a catapult than a drum, right? It just sort of like shoots the rest of the guitars and everything else like into the forefront of the song.
That's a good way to describe it. It is like a catapult. It's like the beginning of that. Yeah, just like boom from there.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just, it announces them too. I mean, this was not only, at least for me, not only the sort of announcing of that song, but I think that is like U2 announcing we're here, get out of our way. Right. Very much so, because it's just very rhythmic. It's very clanging. And Sunday Bloody Sunday is, when you hear it now, you don't really get the context of the song, but when it came out, like a lot of their early work, it was visceral and angry, and it was a protest song. And this, at the time, really encapsulated the sense of rage that they were feeling in Ireland. And it also, I think, framed the lyrics as well as stuff that The Edge and Adam Clayton were doing too.
Yeah. Well, Rob, since you're on a roll, tell us your first pick. Your number 5.
So I just want to say that this is probably one of the weirdest constructed drum solo things at the beginning. I'll let you hear it first and we'll talk about it, because it was sort of created partially by madness of Martin Hackett in the studio, but also just a drummer playing it until his producer said, no. Okay, yeah. There's a lore behind the beginning of this song too, about how it was created, and we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, this is pretty distinctive. It's recorded in 1979 and released in 1980. Later released as a 12-inch single, which had a couple seconds longer of the drum intro. But it also announced the beginning of a band as well. I think I should get double points too, because the bass line on this is probably one of the best things Peter Hook ever did. But this uses it's interesting. It's recorded in 1979. It's She's Lost Control by Joy Division. And basically, Ian McCulloch was working at a office, and a woman had a seizure in front of him, and that sort of inspired him to write the song. And he wanted a song to sound like a spastic seizure. But this time they're signed to Factory Records. They're trying to make it. Martin Hannett hates the sound of the drums in the studio, so he has them disassemble the entire drum kit and take it to the roof, and then make poor Stephen Morris play it and play it and play it on a really sparse drum kit out there until he gets it.
Oh my God.
Where he wants it. And finally you get a ring modulated snare drum with, believe it or not, the other augmenting sound of the percussion was an aerosol furniture polish spray can. That little hiss you hear with it, the times with it. So he's basically playing the foot part of the drum and spraying an aerosol bottle at the same time, and then banging part of the bottle with the sticks. So it's, and you will see, this is sort of a great bookend for another record that Anthony's going to talk about later, because they sort of took that sort of inventiveness on She's Lost Control. And later, when they became this other band, they basically took steroids with this and made something else, which we'll let Anthony talk about later. But yeah, it's fascinating. It's one of the first great sort of early post-punk drum bits you hear in a song. It really kind of gave Joy Division a sound. You couldn't really say, what is the sound of Joy Division? And, you know, when I first heard this at a party, people say they sound like they're in a submarine. I had people saying, you know, is he welding? You know, you can't really describe what that drum percussion sound is, but it's really inventive and it's really interesting. And it goes to show you that what makes a drummer really fantastic is how they can use the resources around them. Because you have drummers that have fantastic best money can buy kits, and you have drummers that have nothing that make amazing records, right? And this is one of those things, you know, 1979 Manchester, people did not have tons of money to buy drum kits lying around. And Stephen Morse's drum kit, which he talks about in his 2 books that he's written, is sort of a hodgepodge of found parts and things that have been clipped together and things. So the fact that he's got this sort of like really interesting sound, he's like, I just wanted to get a drum sound out of the damn thing that worked. And basically he had to unlearn how to play the song rhythm that he heard in his head and with his feet and with his hands, and completely sort of relearn it around the sound of like a hissing aerosol can. And just a real simple tom-tom beat. So it's really interesting how that came out. So that's my first one, She's Lost Control by Joy Division.
That's a good one. I love that sound so much.
Yeah.
But Anthony, I feel like we need an influx of metal.
I was going to say, are you ready for some raw metal power?
Always.
Take it away, Alan.
Yeah! I love it so
that's
much.
how Judas Priest's Painkiller album starts. That is the title track, and it opens with that full-on drumming assault from the one and only Scott Travis.
Right on.
Ridiculous.
Painkiller was also his first album with Judas Priest.
Yep.
And rather amusingly, the origin of that drum intro happened in the studio, and Scott Travis played that as his warm-up. And the other guys were like, wait, that was really cool. Can you do that again? Can we use that as the intro to a song? Can we start the album with that?
Right.
And I feel like one of the most iconic drum intros in heavy metal was born as a result of that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've spoken about my love for the Painkiller album before. That album is just a pure assault of traditional heavy metal.
Right
it's
on.
phenomenal. And opening with a drum riff like that is drum beat.
Yeah, riff is fine.
I'm not a
It's
drummer.
fine. Yeah, we're good with riffs.
That's a statement of intent for the album. Like, this album is
Right.
not going to let up.
Also, I love that the song is just called Painkiller. I mean, come on. Like, that's
Right on.
so good.
It's one of the best. Can you play it, Alan?
No. First of all, you have to have double bass drum for that, and I only own the one, so
Mhm.
that does make
Yeah,
it a little
pedal.
hard.
You can get a second pedal rather
No,
than
I
having
know,
a second
but-
bass drum.
I don't have that kind of coordination. All right,
Neither.
I'm going to jump back to 1980. And so for my list, most of the ones that I picked are bands that I don't normally get a chance to talk about on our show. So this one I have a couple of times before, and it is Jefferson Starship. And there's basically 2 phases of Jefferson Starship. After Airplane broke up, the remaining members formed a new, very loosely structured band called Jefferson Starship. And then after Marty Ballin left and Grace Slick left, they reformed again as a second phase of that. And the first album, Freedom at Point Zero, was a much more straightforward rock album than they had done before that. So this is Mr. Ainsley Dunbar. This is the first, the title track from the first album of Jefferson Starship Mark II. And this is the last track on the album. So it's not necessarily a statement of intent as much as it is sort of wrapping up this first exposure of what this new lineup is going to do. And this is a very different intro than a lot of the other ones that I picked because it's a lot more spacious. It's a lot more composed, sort of. So this is Freedom at Point Zero.
I don't know that.
Oh, it's so good.
I don't know it either, but that was fantastic.
It's my favorite of any Jefferson iteration. It is my favorite album by any of their lineups. It's amazing record. That's all over the place. It's some straightforward 80s rock. There's some very like almost proggy kind of stuff. It's very, very cool. So that's my number 5.
This is what was cool about the bass show and this show now. I know we're going to like listen to stuff and we're going to be like, oh, I'm going to have to listen to that now, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I like playing the music sometimes like we do.
Exactly. Well, Stephanie, why don't you tell me what your next one is? Because
all right.
It's another one kind of like Painkiller.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, okay, so mine is Van Halen's Hot for Teacher. Now, this is not necessarily my favorite Van Halen record or anything like that, but I mean, I just feel like every time you hear Alex's drums, you just know it's him. And I've said this before on our show. I mean, he's got such a distinct sound, you know it's him and he's kick ass. And it, again, this is sort of like an iconic drum intro and you could just picture the video in your head, which is crazy video. So go for it. Oh my God.
Oh my
Come
gosh.
on. And you hear, that snare, when the snare kicks in, that's like, okay, hi, Alex, how are you?
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Before you
I
ask,
love it.
Anthony, I can't play that either. I have seen a drummer do that live. It was a cover band here in Atlanta. This is years ago. And they played that song and the guy played that intro. I was like, I didn't think any human could do that. And then there's this other guy from a company called Drumeo. He's called Brandon Toes. And he does all these like instructional videos. And he has a whole series of videos where he's trying to learn how to play this song, that intro.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Wow.
I mean, it's definitely a great drum intro.
Holy
It
cow.
sure is. Sure is. I'm trying to think, like, I'm thinking about the video and I'm wondering if they actually played that whole drum intro for that video. I'd have to go back and watch because I'm wondering if they shortened it a little bit.
I don't remember.
I don't either.
They shortened it because there's just other stuff going on while that's playing,
That's right.
and they're doing their shenanigans and
Yeah.
DLR is doing all his, bullshit. Anyway, I honestly don't remember if they shortened it or not. That's a very good point.
Yeah, I'll have to go back. Anyway.
Yeah.
Kick ass.
Totally.
What's
All right,
Rob
Rob,
got next?
Let's take it in a very different direction, shall we?
Well, what's interesting is when you hear this one, you will hear the germination of this song in the one that Stephanie used. They are very similar in sort of their structure. But I guess, I'm the guy that's going old school tonight. So we should probably introduce you kids to Gene motherfucking Krupa. I have a shirt that says that. He played drums from 1927 to 1972 in various bands and records. But there would be no big band swing if there was not Gene Krupa. And you've heard this. It's probably, it's been licensed, I think, to more commercials and TV shows from any song from the invention of television to like 1985, right?
Huh.
It's Sing Sing Sing. It's epic. It's long. It's got this like really cool single stroke style of drumming. But what makes it is how we used his floor. Right? Is it a floor tom? I think it's.
Mhm.
I'm trying to remember everything I learned about this in music appreciation class.
Mhm.
But he's a beast on the drums in this thing, and he just has this momentum going on it. I used to, when I DJ'd at the Limelight on Thursday nights, I played this to close out at like 2:45 or 3:30 in the morning, and people just looked at me like it was crazy, but then they got it, right? Because it's just like boom, boom, boom. Like you hear this drum beat in like everything. It's from 1937. This is kind of like the standard bearer for what was going to be with in jazz coming and the swing age and rock. So yeah, this is Sing Sing Sing. I mean, to me, this sounds like a train coming, right? You just hear the beginning of it, and he holds that beat. This is the first sort of long drum solo in the history of recorded music, like pop music, and he holds that for so long. In the same way that you want more of those drums in Hot for Teacher, you want more of the drums for this, right?
Yeah.
And you hear all the other players trying to keep up with them.
Yeah.
Right.
It's funny when you, well, of course, you know that song, everybody does. You're right. It's like on everything. And I love seeing old videos of him playing that because he's like on fire. You know what I mean? He's like a wild, just having the time of his life. And he's like, you're right. Kind of like, come on, everyone, keep up with me. And he is the leader,
Yeah.
Right on.
Benny Goodman had no idea what the hell to do with him. I mean, he only played this band for a year, but he was like so far ahead with the drumming that these guys didn't know what the hell to do with him, right? And some of it is that he was on a lot of weed and speed, but a lot of it's well, he's one of the first people to get busted for weed. But it's just relentless, and a lot of these songs that we have feature great relentless drumming in it. So I'm curious to hear what else we have.
He sounds like he was a fun time.
Weed and speed.
Weed and speed. That's a good name for a record. Slow
right,
side.
Ann, take it away.
Fast side.
All right. Well, this next track is from a very popular Britpop band, and I have two Britpop bands on this show. This is the one I actually prefer of the two bands, and this drum beat was, again, they came up with it during rehearsal. It actually took two people to play it, and yet somehow they figured out how to recreate it live with just one person. So, Alan, take it away, please.
Anthony, I worked that record, right?
I was about to say that.
So, of course, that was Song 2 by Blur with Dave Rowntree on drums.
Yay!
Before there was Seven Nation Army, there was Song 2.
Yeah. And it's still a huge staple in sporting events and so on and so forth. And I think, the thing to remember about this was this came off of their 1997 self-titled album, and they had effectively conceded defeat to Oasis in the Battle of Britpop and decided to go in a completely different direction. So what they suddenly put out is a grungy, lo-fi album, very much inspired by the American indie scene. And Song 2, which was the second song on the album, so literally named after its placement, was very much the reaction to grunge. And very much designed as a parody of grunge. And I think it's fantastic. It's had a huge amount of staying power, as I said.
Oh, yeah.
You hear it at sporting events all the time. People think it's called Woohoo.
Yeah.
May as well be. If you say woohoo, you know what you're talking about.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This
But
was a big
that-
departure in their sound.
Right.
Definitely.
They were
That
very,
opening
very
drum beat.
British before this. And this
Yeah.
They were
one
totally
was a
like
huge
Britpop,
international
Britpop.
hit in a way that none of their previous things could have been.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
And the whole song was just meant to be a joke, right?
Right, of course.
Um,
Of course.
Graham Coxon, the guitarist, told Damon Albarn, the singer, that he should tell the record company that they wanted to release the song as a single to blow their heads off. They thought it was too extreme. They thought the record companies wouldn't do it. And yet it's probably now their best recognized song worldwide. In Britain, probably not, but worldwide, yes.
Right.
And Damon Albarn is still not a fan, which is funny. But
oh, well.
It's interesting, too, because this is one of those records, and Steph, I think you can probably remember this, too, but there were certain records in sort of like the heyday of American indie college radio when you put that thing on and it sort of changed the world of college radio in the same way that Teen Spirit did. This did, too. I mean, this was like, this thing was everywhere. Like, I remember, kids, ask your parents, I remember walking into the Limited and hearing this. And I'm just like, this is playing,
I mean, this was
go
like a
into the
big
grocery
radio
store.
hit.
It was everywhere.
This was not just a college record. This was a huge alternative and rock radio hit. So,
Yeah.
But
totally.
it's one of the records that transitioned that sort of niche from college radio and then into commercial alternative, right? This is sort of, this and Cannonball and Smells Like Teen Spirit. And there's a few records that sort of laid the path for that. This thing was everywhere. And I knew people that hated a lot of the Britpop stuff, but they loved this record just for the drums and the yelling. So.
Oh, yeah. You're going to love a song that goes woohoo. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's dumb. It's like, I think of Blur as such an intelligent rock band, and this is them being deliberately dumb, and I'm here for it.
Well, one that's not deliberately dumb, but is also from the 90s. I'm going with Alice in Chains, and this is a song from their EP, Jar of Flies. And the drummer on this is Sean Kinney. And it's not the most technically difficult intro on our list, but I think it's got such a really cool groove. And like a lot of his little offbeats just make it have, it's just super funky. Let me just play this for you. This is No Excuses.
What a great song.
Oh my gosh, it is. And like I said, Alice in Chains is one of those bands that I love, but they just don't come up that often in our discussions. And I, don't get as much chance to talk about them as I would like. And here is my opportunity. I love Alice in Chains.
That's such a great drum part because it is pretty simple, but there's so many great little flourishes in that.
Right.
Little tiny little thing, like special things.
And a lot more. It's not just a repeating pattern. He does a lot of really cool flourishes throughout the song. So you get that little bit as just the intro, but there's a lot more to listen for as the song goes on. Yeah, it's so cool.
They're so great. I love them.
All right, Steph, number 3.
Okay, this might be the only song on here that has a marching band.
I'm pretty sure it is.
So let's see if anyone can guess. Take your guess, everyone, and now let Alan play the song.
Yes.
All right, that's Tusk by Fleetwood Mac. Did you guess right?
I did.
I love it. I mean, hey, look, it's a steady driving kind of train beat, through the whole song. It's just a driving force through that whole song, and it's killer. And they recorded it with was it USC marching band, I believe.
Yep. That's the one.
They're also in the video, and that's a great video too. But yeah, it's a really cool beat. And also, I just also love when the horns come in on that song.
Yeah.
I love this album, and I love the song particularly.
Right.
I mean, it was popular at the time. It was huge, but I think it was just not as, it was a very big departure.
It was so different from anything from the first two albums that Lindsay and Stevie did with them, that this was just like left field.
It was so left field. Speaking of fields,
it was left football field. That's where they recorded it. That's where they shot the video.
Yep.
But if you see it live, like when Fleetwood Mac was touring, they played this song so fast, and Mick is behind his kit, just like boom, boom. It's so fun to watch.
Did you guys see the? It was like the 20th anniversary or something, or no? When they kind of regrouped and got back on tour, they actually had the whole marching band come out from the audience. That was so great. Yeah,
nice. Yeah, that whole album I read was very much a reaction to bands like Talking Heads. Right?
Yeah.
Lindsey Buckingham was apparently fascinated by them.
Yeah.
And so that's why the difference between Rumors and Tusk is so stark, is because Lindsay in particular is very much reacting to post-punk.
Oh, yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's very much sort of like wringing the towel of New York, the New York art scene and New York bands. I mean, you can hear the influence of the drumming in Blondie. You can hear the Chris Franson Talking Heads. You can tell that he's listened to these people, and he's like, okay, we're going to put these people aside for now and do our own thing. And I like too how it's not really hard. It's like, it's not hard, but it's not soft. It's
no, you're right.
It's really perfect. And I think the mark of a great drummer is that they can play soft.
Oh, and he was so good at that too, Mick.
Yeah, which I think, and that's one of the reasons I really like this record a lot too, is that it's got this sort of like emotional heart to it that comes out through the drumming.
Yeah.
And Stephanie, small correction, he was so good at that when he wasn't wired out of his mind on cocaine.
Speed and weed. No.
You watch some of those live videos, particularly from the 80s, and he is so wired. It's
super high.
Oh, yeah. Like, I have never seen a human make their eyes as big as he does, because he's a crazy dude.
He's like
literally
fucking
crazy.
Animal from the Muppets.
He really is, in human form. Yeah. All right, Rob, why don't you take your next one?
Yeah, hopefully I won't mess this up too much, and we'll have to take a break. So 1959, this record was recorded. It took them, the first time they recorded it, after like 40 minutes of trying to do it, Dave Brubeck just threw his hands up and walked out of the room. And it's one of the like most profoundly moving pieces of drumming and jazz that you're going to hear of the late 50s, early 60s. And the drummer on it is Joe Morello, who's really known for sort of like these quirky rhythms and his passion for changing time signatures, but never really telling everyone else in the band he was doing it while he was doing it, because he sort of like would play something. He's like, I'm going to see how it sounds right now. We can always just do another take. But he wanted to sort of get that organic feel of it, right? And this is sort of one of the things that drove Brubeck nuts, but it also made Take 5 such a great record, right? I think if you've worked in a record store or gone to a lounge or hung out at an airport, you have heard Take 5 in some way, shape, or form. It's from 1959, and it's Dave Brubeck and his little band of people. The drumming sets up the piano that comes in after, I think, four bars maybe, but it's great. The drumming really makes this record, and it frames it. And again, it's not too harsh either, which is nice.
I love it. I was just talking to my friend today about Dave Brubeck, who my friend Fran interviewed him a long time ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but it's funny that this is now on your picks. It's a great. Again, you everybody knows that song.
And what's great is the drumming it sounds great on its own, but then it's playing alongside the piano and then it's playing
Mhm.
alongside the horns, right? And it's really interesting to hear the drum be treated. It's sort of like if you're having dinner and the salad is actually with the dinner, right? As not just what comes before or after. It's like the drumming is a really intricate part of the song and it's really important. And when you listen to that whole record that Brubeck made, the drumming on the whole album is like really, really important. It's not just like, okay, you have a solo, then you stop for a while, then we play, and then you do a couple, and then you go. No, the drumming never goes away. It's there the whole time, and it's relentless and it's great.
Well, I've never heard a drum part described as a salad before.
Well, no, I mean, just there are a lot of times in the late 50s and 60s when they're doing drums that like they do a drum solo and then the band would play and then the drum would come in and then the band would play. So it was like stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. But this is very much all the way through.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Ant, you're up.
All right. Well, we're staying with the rough genre of my previous one and keeping with the Britpop vibes. So this is a snippet from this band's debut single. I think their original drummer was actually underrated. So Alan, take it away. It's not a complicated drum piece, right? It's not. But so that was Supersonic by Oasis. And while I described Blur's self-titled album as, and particularly song 2, as going into dumb rock, Oasis always were dumb rock and roll.
Right on.
Nothing spectacular, nothing intelligent, but they do what they do really, really well. So Tony McCarroll, who was the drummer on that, drummed basically on their first album and a couple of singles before being unceremoniously given the boot. All sorts of accusations came out from both camps, Oasis and Tony, as to why he was fired. It doesn't matter. I actually kind of like his drumming. Probably not the best example of him as a drummer, but it fits that track so well. And again, sets the stage for this band that were going to go on and become these absolute superstars of stadium rock. I love it.
Huge stadium rock, yeah.
Yeah, this is tasty.
Right on.
Is it as tasty as a salad, Rob? Or is this more just a
Brubeck
maybe your
salad?
portion of fries as an appetizer?
This is not an appetizer. No, this is like
meat and potatoes.
Yeah, no, I mean,
a greasy burger.
No, this is sort of the meat and potatoes of the Oasis sound, of the early sort of sound that got them where they needed to be. It's dirty, it's grimy, and it's like simple and it's beautiful. It just really works everywhere. So
yeah, and it just proves you don't need to do something elaborate and complicated for it to work well in the context of the song you're trying to write.
Exactly.
Totally.
And it plays with the idea of creating a rhythm that like don't make this harder than it needs to be, and it works because it doesn't. It's fantastic because it's so basic rock and roll.
Right on. Well, I'm going to stay with the 90s, and I'm going with another band that I really love that I never get to talk about on our show, and that's Green Day. I will say that when Green Day was first kind of hitting it big, I was not a big fan, because whether they self-labeled or media labeled as the new wave of punk, I was very indignant, and I was all like, that shit ain't punk. They don't even know what punk is, blah, blah, blah. But
totally. I
learned to have, well, first of all, I learned to accept them for who they are and what they're doing. And I learned to appreciate what their songs are great. They're excellent songwriters. They're good musicians. And this is from Dookie, which was their big breakthrough album. And this was actually the first single from that album. And the drummer is Trey Cool, who I think is one of the most fun drummers in that 90s period. I absolutely love his playing. And there's actually quite a few Green Day songs that have a solo drum intro, but this one was really the first one that you would have heard on the radio. And I think it's one of the, it's longer than most of his other ones, and it's really cool. So this is Longview.
Wow, that brings back memories.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, it's great. I wish that the record was just the drumming.
Oh, I love the
No,
whole
it's a
band.
great record. No, the thing about Dookie is it's really catchy, but I found myself loving the music so much that I didn't, that was my point. And this is a great example, at least for me as someone listening, of like drumming is like what hooks you into the song. It's like, if you would have told me this was Green Day when I heard it the first time, I would have been like, damn it, you tricked me, right? Because you didn't, like Steph sort of intimated, you got so tired of hearing about Green Day that you almost had to peel away the veil of like everyone talking about them and listen to them. And the drumming on this is spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of in Alan's camp where I was just like, I don't want to hear fake punk rock, you know?
Right.
You stupid little shits, you know?
But then you have to think, if punk had continued on from the 70s, like continuously, it may have morphed into this sound, you know? It's a more polished sound. It's a more musical sound. Like the musicality of it is higher, and it may have evolved that way. So I had to get over my own stupid,
Oh yeah, me
biases.
too. And I totally appreciate them so much. And him as Billy Joe as a songwriter too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think they're really great.
More punk in attitude than sound, but still, whatever that sound is, it's very clever and rambunctious.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I would argue if you trace the evolution from kind of 70s, early 80s punk into the skate punk scene and ultimately into the pop punk scene, it does become linear. But if you didn't follow that middle piece of the evolution into skate punk, you're missing part of the puzzle.
That's true.
And you're like, well, this isn't fucking punk.
Right.
Well, it is when you see that evolution and lineage.
Yeah. All right. We are a little bit past our halfway point, so we're going to take a quick break. But we got more drum songs to talk about, so stick around. We'll be right back.
Ever wondered what the universe tastes like? Or why your best ideas hit at 2 a.m. over a slice of pizza?
Welcome to the Cosmic Pizza Podcast, where science, pop culture, and curiosity collide.
4 co-hosts, 4 perspectives, and 0 boring conversations. We explore everything from sci-fi TV shows to films from each decade.
From conspiracy theories to our favorite foods.
It's deep. It's weird. And it's seriously fun.
New episodes every month.
So grab a slice.
Kick back.
Expand your mind with the Cosmic Pizza Podcast.
All right. We are back. So we've got a few more songs to talk about. Stephanie, what's your next one?
My next song is one of the 2 songs from Billy Joel's The Stranger record that probably was not a single.
Right.
Because there was like 7 songs or something on that were singles. This is called Get It Right the First Time. Liberty DeVito is like one of my favorite drummers, and this is absolutely a sick drum part. So take it away, Alan. That song not only has a kick-ass, just regular verse drum part, but the choruses are even more insane. Like that, if you see him play that, if you get like a video of watching him play that, it's just wild. Because I don't think it's one of those things that it sounds a little simpler than it is. Maybe, I don't know, but I've analyzed that drum part like to death because I just wish I'd could do something like that. I don't think I could ever do something like that, but it's just, he's such an incredible drummer.
Yeah.
Love it.
He's a great really performer too. He's very animated when he plays and he's fun to watch.
Yes. So yeah, if you haven't heard that song from that album, please do seek it out.
Okay, Rob, what you got next?
So now we move into 1963 and the Wall of Sound. Despite what you think about Phil Spector as, Phil Spector, the sounds that guy got created in a room were pretty amazing. So this is a record from the Ronettes. It's called Be My Baby, and Hal Blaine's drumming on this is fantastic. You've heard Hal Blaine and you don't even realize it. If you heard I Think I Love You by the Partridge Family, or if you heard Good Vibrations on Pet Sounds, or not Pet, what name? If you've heard Sinatra Strangers in the Night, you've heard Hal Blaine drum. And it's really interesting because there's a reverb in this has got like the way they set up the studio and the drums in the studio, they were able to get the reverb of the percussion and the drums to make it sort of sound the way that it sounded. And it sounded really dense. And you get this sort of like almost thunderous kind of bombast to this to this drum intro. And this is sort of like a lot of the Phil Spector songs that he made at this time sort of had this kind of drumming in it, but this is great. And Hal Blaine's in the Wrecking Crew, which if you don't know much about the history of the Wrecking Crew, you should look them up because they were all fantastic musicians that just went from record to record and played on them. And they finally got their due. They had a great documentary on them, and also they're in the Rock Hall. Also, the voice on all the Ronettes records is fantastic. So this is Be My Baby. I love all this shit. All this Wall of Sound stuff. It's all just fantastic. And
it's called Wall of Sound for a reason, yeah?
Yeah, but the other thing that's interesting about it too is it's one of the most profound influences of like a drummer sort of anchoring a female vocalist really well, which I think makes it work too. But yeah, this is a nice little bit of pop music for everyone.
All right. Anthony, you're going to do one that you stole from my list.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I'm not.
I'm not. Going to be a fight.
So I think of great heavy metal drummers, right? We talked about Scott Travis. You have someone like Bill Ward, who's a great jazz drummer, but he didn't do a huge number of drum intros. Sabbath tended to head more into sort of bass or guitar intros in general. There are some drum ones out there. But there was another big hard rock heavy metal band in the late 70s who I think is one of the greatest metal drummers of all time. Sadly passed away in the early 90s in a car crash, and that's Cozy Powell. And so this is Rainbow with Stargazer.
I'm sorry, but how can you hear that and not feel alive?
Yeah. Okay. Well, and I'm sure there's going to be some pedant out there who is going to say, but there's that slide guitar over it. I don't care.
No.
Oh, no.
That's great.
It still starts with drum before the slide guitar comes in.
It does.
And that guitar, it sounds like, I know this isn't the point of the song, but it sounds like an ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
because you're going to need one after you hear
exactly,
that.
Like Cozy Powell has done so much damage to you that you better get help.
Yeah, and that early lineup of Rainbow, that first, well, really that second lineup, because this was the second lineup.
Yes.
They really hit something special.
Right on.
With that. Between Blackmore, Dio on vocals, Cozy Powell on drums, and who was the bassist?
Wasn't it Bob Daisley?
Bob Daisley. The name was right on the tip of my tongue.
Good old Bob.
What a phenomenal quartet.
Oh,
and you know, it's a shame that Blackmore decided to throw it all away by going in a more pop direction, but Richie's gonna Richie.
Right.
But Stargazer, what a song in general, and what a drum intro. Again, when it comes to metal, whether it's Rainbow, Judas Priest, Van Halen, as Stephanie put earlier, those technical, impressive drum intros are always something truly joyous to behold, and this is no exception.
I remember in the 80s, after Rainbow kind of went in that pop direction, like you're talking about, and they're like selling out stadiums and stuff. And Blackmore, I read somewhere in an interview one time where he said, I used to say that doing music wasn't about the money, but that's easy to say when you aren't making any.
Well, not quite the same thing, but I remember reading, I think it was Michael Caine's autobiography, and he was talking about times he was asked about some really terrible movies that he was in. And his response was always incredibly pragmatic. Yeah, I know that was shit, but it paid for my swimming pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like that was Blackmore's attitude at times.
Right. Okay, so for my next one, I'm going back to 1982, and this is another band that I love that doesn't come up often, and that's Kansas. So they're more of a legacy band than my last two picks, but they were still trudging right along in the early 80s. And this is from the Vinyl Confessions album, and this drummer is Phil Ehart. And there are very, very few Kansas songs that start with a drum intro. I think this is the only one that is actually purely a drum intro. There are two other songs that start with a timpani intro, and I almost picked one of those to lead in, but this one is so good that I thought I'd do this one instead. So this is a song called Play On from 1982, and this is Phil Ehart of Kansas. Awesome.
Yeah.
I saw them on that tour. I've seen Kansas a few times, and I saw them on that tour. They did not play that song, unfortunately, but that was a really great album. It was the first one with Steve Walsh had been their vocalist from the beginning, and this is the first one after he left / got asked to leave, and John Elefante came in as the new vocalist. So this was his first album, and it was a really good tour. I saw it twice on this tour. The second time they did a co-headline with Heart, where they played like 80-minute sets, and each night a different one of them would open. And so it was a lot of fun. It was a great show. So Stephanie,
that's cool. I love that song. Okay, well, my number one pick is a song that I absolutely love. It's called 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover by Paul Simon. And this, the drummer on this is Steve Gadd, who's an incredible session player.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like this is one where everybody, you know this when you hear it. So just roll it, Alan. What do you even say about something like that?
I know, exactly.
It's just like, okay, there it is.
I remember, I was a kid when this came out, and hearing it on Top 40 radio, and it was just so different from anything else that I was hearing on the radio at that time. It was unique. It's so unique. Good.
I know. It's just and like I guess like Rob was saying about the Brubeck song, that it's like this is just an integral part of that song. That song doesn't exist without this drum part, you know?
Well, and it's interesting because you hear when the music comes in, the guitar is so sparse that it's the drum that's carrying the song, and not the guitar is basically there just to add a chord structure. but it's just a simple strum, and it's the drum that's actually driving the song. It's
right, at least on the verses, and then
Yeah.
when the chorus is
Yeah,
kicking,
yeah.
and it's still just got that unique driving
Yeah.
pattern, like through the choruses too, like a different. It's really, it's just like you said, it's so unique. Anyway, that's my number one pick, and that's that.
Very, very cool. All right, Rob, you got one more. Let's do it.
So we've reached this era of music where sampling and technology have really allowed musicians to manipulate sounds. And the record I'm choosing sort of did this. It took the kick drum from Nightclubbing by Iggy Pop. And basically that sample then was lifted, distorted, slowed down, sped up, processed, compressed, filtered, done all this stuff to it, right? To where you get this really sort of dirty, grimy, unsettling drum solo that sort of frames the whole record. So in a way, it's a collage. This is sort of like drum is collage art kind of, but it's also very minimalist, right? It very much takes that sample, strips it down, rebuilds it, but it rebuilds it to a minimalist core with layer on layer on layer. And while I'm really tired of hearing this song, because you hear this one everywhere too, I'm fascinated by the percussion on this, right? And it does stuff with drumming that not too many other industrial records can do, which is why it really stood out. And it's also funky in its own way. It's the closest funk sound I can compare it to is Superstition by Stevie Wonder. It's almost the same pattern, but this is closer by 9 Inch Nails.
You let me violate you. You let me desecrate you.
The other thing that's cool about it is they really let it go out a lot longer than some drum solos start.
Well, a lot longer than was in any way necessary.
Yeah, they did that for radio. They did that so DJs could give the traffic over this song.
Right.
That's why it's got that. This is like the perfect song to do a break for.
Late night radio, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he didn't do radio edit. I mean, this got played on commercial radio after a while. But
I always remember going to karaoke with a former roommate, and he decided that he wanted to make me squirm, and so he maintained intense eye contact with me while singing this song.
Hot.
Yeah.
Ugh. All right, Ant. What's your next one?
Well, since Rob took us in the direction of electronic and synth, my final pick, and mine are in no particular order. These are just 5 that I really love.
Yeah.
But this is arguably one of the most iconic synthetic, synthesized drum intros, obviously using a drum machine. So Alan, take it away, because everyone's going to know what it is.
Yay!
Now, you could argue that also goes on for too long.
Yeah,
but
I decided to fade it out
perfection
instead of letting it.
Not if you're dancing in a club.
Well, okay, true.
But yeah, I mean, this is obviously New Order's big breakout hit. It's the one everyone still thinks of today. Although World in Motion's having a little bit of a resurgence right now because of the World Cup, obviously. But I think it's so iconic. It's fantastic. You hear it, you immediately know what it is if you've ever listened to any music in your life. If you haven't listened to any music, I don't know why you're listening to a music podcast. So I'm going to make the assumption that you are familiar with this because it's just that iconic. And there have been so many covers that have attempted to do other things with the drum intro, and they never just quite work. It needs that sound is just so synonymous with this song.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. All right. My last one. So when we talked about we're going to do a show about unaccompanied drum intros, this is immediately the first thing that I thought of because it's immediately the first thing I always think of is the first thing I think of when we talk about great opening songs. It's the first song that comes to mind when we talk about concert openers. It is, and we talked earlier about songs that are a declaration of intent, and this one. So put your mind back to 79, and Kiss starts going in all these stupid directions. They do good albums, but they do one that's very pop and disco inspired. Then the next one they do is very like Euro pop. And then they do one that's a sword and sorcery fantasy thing. And their audience is hemorrhaging left and right, and they're left with nobody. And so they come out with their next album, 1982, Creatures of the Night. And I remember so clearly, I brought the record home. First of all, the record cover is this great, great image that you're like, okay, this has got to mean something. They've got to be like staking their claim back on the hard rock world. And I remember coming home, taking the LP out, putting it on the turntable, putting on the needle, and just waiting with anticipation to how this album is going to open. And Eric Carr, one of my very favorite drummers in the entire history of the world, comes out with this. So legend has it that they mic'd Eric's drum set, and so they're recording it directly from his set, but they also feed it through an amp that's at the bottom of either a stairwell or an elevator shaft, and then they mic the top of the like the opening, so that reverb
Yes.
throughout the elevator shaft, they record the reverb and lay it over the raw drum sound to make this huge, thunderous, and it goes throughout the whole album.
Wow.
And it's just incredible. And Eric has other songs that he does the intro for, and some of them, particularly King of the Mountain, is a longer and more intricate intro than this one is, but this one just gets my adrenaline pumping. So it was, and when they do it live, so on this record is down. When they do it live, they double it, and it's and then the band comes in, and it's like
that is a kick-ass intro, that's for sure.
All right,
heavy hitting.
So listeners, you know what would be really groovy if you like emailed us and let us know what some of your favorite drum intros are.
Yes.
And if you want to, you could drop us a little line at modernmusicology1@gmail.com, or drop a comment on our socials when you see our episode posted somewhere. Or if you're listening on a platform, Spotify or iTunes or whatever, just drop a comment there and we will see it. Well, this was fun.
Oh my God, you know what's coming next? Guitars. We have to do all about guitars.
I don't know.
Cowbells.
I was thinking, cowbell. I was thinking about guitars, but there's 8 gazillion.
I know, you got to narrow it down.
Oh my God. This was so hard. Doing the drumming was so hard for me.
I know it was.
Because my list was like 30 long, and then I had to pick 5 out of that. Oh my God. But we should do something like really creative, like songs that start with a chorus instead of a verse.
Oh yeah.
Or songs that open with like a cappella harmonies or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do all kinds of these things.
I like it because I like listening to the music, and
yeah, or cowbell. I don't know that we could come up with 20 songs that start with a cowbell, but we can try. All right, well, that was fun. Listeners, let us know what you thought. Let us know what your favorite ones are. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and we're going to be doing a show talking about songwriting. We very recently had the inductions into the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and we had Variety, I think it was, put out a list of the greatest living songwriters. So we're going to be talking about all that stuff in the next episode, and something else very, very special that you don't want to miss. So until 2 weeks from now, Stephanie, where can people find more about you?
Okay, well, you know how I always say therearebirds.com? Well, it's not anymore. I mean, I would still get you to my website, but it is now stephanieseymourmusic.com,
Excellent.
revamped.
I love it.
Yeah, you can find me there, stephanieseymourmusic.com, or you can find me still on Instagram at there_our_birds. Facebook, you can find me at Stephanie Seymour Music, and Spotify and Bandcamp and everything like that too.
Funky.
All
right, Rob.
So, you can find me on Facebook and the Gram and the Sky. You can find me on all of those under my name. Also, you can find me Wednesdays from 7 to 9 on Juxtaposition on Community Radio St. Louis, CRSTL.FM. And then Mondays from 12 to 2 Central Time with Louder Than War Radio and a show called Antics that comes out of Manchester in England. And then also on the same day, weirdly, but in the evening, 5 to 7 p.m. Central, I do a show on the Face Radio in Brooklyn. That's called The Free Design. And then 2 Saturdays a month, I do a show called The Comforts of Madness for some nice folks in Los Angeles at Eardrum Buzz Radio. And September, rolling out Sweetness and Light for Radio Rotterdam. This will be a 1 hour once a month show.
Oh my God, wow.
Good God, dude.
Yes.
Damn, another one.
You're going to have to condense this. You're going to have to like do a link tree or something. And
it is actually all on a link tree.
okay, well.
Yeah.
All right, Anthony.
My name is Anthony Williams. Don't find me, I'll find you.
There you
Perfect. There we go.
And you can find all my shit at cosmiccreative.com, KOZMIC creative.com. All right. So we'll be back in 2 weeks with our show about songwriters. To take us out, I've got one more song to play. One of the most iconic unaccompanied drum intros ever.
What?
So we'll see y'all next time. Take care.
One more song. One more song. One more song.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.